What is going on, everybody? Hello to everybody on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. I am back. I'm here with 49er minded Bashar. We're really, I wanted to kind of touch on the preseason game that happened a couple days ago, but I really am going to jump into with Bashar. We'll talk contract stuff, but I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the injuries that have been going on. Some people say we're in mid-season form, and we have we had a change in trainers. I was actually on Google, Bashar, trying to figure out who the trainer was right now, the current new physical trainer for the 49ers, and it has the previous guy. So man, first of all, was it how did you feel to see some 49er football on television, and secondly, like, what do you think of all the injuries?
Yeah, it was it was one of those weird days for me. I barely got any sleep the day before, so I literally took a midday nap before the game started, and I didn't wake up to one of my alarms, so somebody literally had to physically wake me up to watch the game when the kickoff had already started. So I'm literally watching the game, wobbling to the couch, and I just felt like total garbage the whole game trying to watch it. And so I wasn't in football mode watching the game. I was in zombie mode. It kind of sucked for me physically, and just watching a crappy game in general. But again, it was the preseason. We all know that it's not a regular season game, and it definitely 100% felt like a preseason game. It had every aspect of a preseason game, pretty much. Of your typical one that's boring and sucks, and that was one of them.
It was very hard for me to stay engaged watching it, for sure.
Yeah, and I didn't record. So usually I record the games. I forgot to record this one. Usually I sit back and analyze things after the fact, and I didn't do that. And I literally went to bed like 2.5 hours after the game was over. Usually I stay up and I analyze things, or I do a post game show, and I just was not in football mode. And usually people get excited. Oh wow, the Niners are playing. We waited all this time to watch them play, but I definitely was not in football mode when I watched it, and the game itself didn't help me at all either. So here's what it is. Hopefully I'll be more pumped up and more locked in on this Sunday against the Saints, and it should be I'm hoping it's just a more fun, exciting game, more entertaining game to watch. Again, I don't care if we win or lose in preseason games. I really, really don't. Of course, it looks more fun on a visual level to win, but I just want to get in the end zone a bit more, and I just want it to be a more exciting game in general once Sunday comes. But yeah, in general, it was good to see certain guys that we were expecting to see, and we had some curiosity about a lot of newcomers to the team, and that part was cool.
Yeah, it was. There's been a lot of injuries with this team. I don't know if you saw the report, but 23 injured players. That was the report going into the weekend for the game. I think it was on Thursday. We had 23 players injured. What does it see here? Yeah, 23 players missed practice last Thursday. That's what I was trying to say. I know we switched trainers this offseason. Like I said, I was looking through Google. I could not find his name. I would like to know what do you make of all the injuries in training camp so far? Is this more of like just bumps and bruises, the normal training camp wear and tear, or is this something to be concerned about?
The only injuries that really stood out to me, or I cringed, or and now keep in mind, I didn't have, for example, Drake Jackson, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they initially announced his injury, well, because he had never healed properly. The initial report was he'll miss all of training camp.
Yep.
And I put the link out on my Facebook page. I think I mentioned it last time we talked, unless I mentioned it with somebody else. And I said, "Oh, it looks like Drake Jackson's officially a bust." And some people were like, "No, man, how could you say that, man? Give him some time. Blah 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 blah. Give him a chance. Blah 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 blah." Or it's just like, but I was like, look, the guy's barely ever on the field, and he always gets hurt anyways. And I mean, he's not even going to have another training camp under his belt, And lo and behold, I mean, they announced it later down the road that he's going to be out for the season. So now it's just like, reality is really hitting you in the face now. And it sucks because I didn't want him to be out for the season. We need the depth at defensive end.
We totally need the depth.
But I was one of the guys saying, hey, well, we're still super deep at defensive tackle, though. Defensive tackles looks promising. Now I'm hearing a lot of great things about these young DTs. And lo and behold, the the one defensive tackle who I've liked ever since we drafted him. I've been dying to see him see him get on the field. A 315, 320-pound dude with some mobility and agility. Former linebacker, Kalia Davis, and now
Yeah,
they're saying he's not going to be available until mid-season. Like, damn.
mid-season.
And he had a pretty decent game this past Saturday. So that
Yeah,
sucks, man.
I think he had 4 tackles for a loss and a sack,
Yeah,
something along
man.
those lines. The Niners need a guy in the middle. They really haven't had that guy. You know, the kind of the gap eating defensive tackle to push the pocket with all these other rushers on the team. And now they're not going to have him until mid-season, which they
Yeah.
said he has like a floating body in his knee. I don't know what that means.
Oh, really? I didn't
And
even get to read what
it's
the
a
real injury
scope
was.
job, and they said he should be. I mean, he'll be fine. He'll be ready. It's just whenever that is. Man, I don't want to be super negative about everything right now because it's August, but I'm going to touch the comments real quick, but I'll get back to what I wanted to say. We got Jimmy in the chat. He was here before everybody got here.
What up, Jimmy?
Thanks for coming through. I appreciate it, my man. Is it JJ Williams? He says, bro, these injuries are going to murk us. I will get to that in a second.
We get injured all the time, though, man. We get injured every year. We get injured.
Papa J, man, you make me think of Papa John. So
I know.
thank you.
Papa
He
John's
says,
in the
would you
house.
say that contributing factor also has to do with the most of the players have been working out a lot this offseason, not letting their bodies rest? I mean, I don't know what the problem is. I mean, the Niners have had a bunch of long seasons recently, and that can be a contributing factor, seeing how your season runs into mid February. But is this starting to feel, at least for you? And I don't want to get real crazy with it because we don't know, but 2020 was an absolutely just dismal season. I remember when we lost the Super Bowl and we were like, all of us were, me, you, and a bunch of other people who were so distraught. We're like, we're going to come back. We're going to get this, blah, 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 blah. And that season was just it was just horrible. I mean, all the injuries, and when we played the Jets, it was just a bad season altogether.
Back to back ACL tears with Solomon Thomas and Nick Bosa.
Yeah. And it was like this off season, or I guess you can call it, and this isn't really the off season anymore, in training camp, whatever. We're already I seen a tweet that said somebody says we're already in the midseason form with all the injuries. Is Bashar worried that the 49ers could have a season crippled by injuries to start it? Like we're not even midseason yet, or do you have a little bit more faith than I do?
Yeah, I'm okay. I don't think this is going to phase us. It's not going to be like it was the year after we lost the Super Bowl with Jimmy G or whatever. That was really bad. That was just every day there was somebody getting injured during the season, and when those were super serious injuries. But yeah, I'm okay with it. I mean, I know it sucks, but there's some guys that we're trying to develop are getting hurt. But I think once the regular season comes around, people will be all healed up and they'll be fine, and we'll be ready to go. I just hate the fact that the seasons are 17 games now. I wish it was 16 games like it used to be. And then I'm hearing that they want to push things to 18 games next year. So hopefully they don't, but we'll see. Panama Queen's in the house. What up, Panama Queen?
Panama Queen. That is a blast from the past name. Thank you for coming through. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. It's been way too long, but thanks for coming through. We got David McNiner in the house. What's going on, my brother? He says, where is he? What's good, Aaron and Bashar? Let's go Niners. Yeah, to me with these injuries, it's just like I get this thing in my head, and I don't know if other 49ers are thinking about this, but like you get so close so many times, and to get to where you got to be in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl, you got to have a lot of things go right. And one of those things is injuries. This isn't a good omen to start this offseason if this is going to be the year that we finally do it, or we break the curse of teams that have lost multiple Super Bowls and they're never able to get back there. I have a lot of, I'm almost like protecting myself from really getting too into it this season. Like I'm already expecting the worst because of just how the loss and then the short off season. We've had all the injuries, the lack of Trent Williams or Brandon Ayuk being in the building still not signed. So there's just a lot of like moving parts that are negative that are kind of right now clouding, at least for me, my mindset about what I think about this coming season. You know, if you talk to a lot of experts, a lot of them say that, and even when we talked, the Niners could have a come back to earth season this year just because, they got so close and they weren't able to do it again. And it takes, like I said, it takes a lot of things to go right for that to happen. And there's no guarantee that the Niners are going to have the health that they had last year. The Niners were a relatively healthy team, Bash, last year. We didn't have a ton of really big time injuries that really like set us back. Besides
Ufanga.
Hufunga, he was it. But Jair Brown came in and played amazing, right?
Yeah.
And T. Gip was great. He's now on the Jaguars. So uh, a lot of the talking, at least on Twitter, is it's not that the Niners starters that are injured. It's a lot of the depth is injured. Like we're really, really light right now because of all these injuries. So it's not a good start to the like the beginning of the season. Like you said, we got a couple more weeks before we really get into regular season form. So I mean, they canceled the practice. That was the big thing. They canceled the practice between the Saints. It was like a scrimmage type deal that they do every single year. They canceled that because the Niners just don't have enough fresh bodies. That's a little telling, but
They have enough fresh bodies, but I just think that they saw a couple of dudes getting hurt and they didn't want to risk it, is what I think.
right.
Yeah. I don't like joint practices either. I've always hated them. I've never liked them ever.
Aaron is back. Bashar is here, my Grammy superstar.
I don't know. What Grammy did I win? That's what I want to know.
He needs to be on like Bashar needs to go on Chopped or something, man, because this man has some serious kitchen skills, man.
Yeah, well, I know they always bring on Chopped. They always bring guys who are, pretty established chefs or restaurateurs, and I'm none of them. I'm just a guy who cooks at home. But I've watched tons of videos on YouTube and read tons of recipes, and I just will turn on the stove or turn on the oven and try to figure things out. And hey, things do end up tasting good. I'm not gonna lie.
My brother recently bought another brisket, so
oh, so you guys have picked that up this weekend?
Could be this week. Hopefully, I don't know how long it's got, but yeah, me, I'm a big brisket guy. My brother got me into it.
Yeah,
Said, who's going to the game?
I've never done the brisket.
Who's going to the game by 49er Minded Platinum Song? Haha.
I want to do a new song.
Favorite.
I don't know what song I could have in mind, but maybe somewhere down the road I could come up with some new song of some sort or something. And if I do, you guys will be the first to know.
You gotta make like I'm going back to Levi's, like something really.
That was so cheesy, man. That was so goofy.
That's so bad.
That.
That's so horrible. Don't ever do that. Sorry, guys.
I don't know. I'm not inspired. I don't have any inspiration. Yeah, in terms of making a new song, but
I'm really white, guys. I apologize for that one. That was horrible.
Oh man, I don't know. We used to always mimic songs on our past podcasts. I forgot what songs we used to mimic, but every now and then somebody would say a line, and then that line would just ring a bell in my head, and I'd think of whatever song, and I just spit it out, and it just happened organically, some way, somehow.
That Jet says I post who's going to the game every chance I get.
I know you've like. I like blush every time you do it. Like, damn, I don't think it's that good. I think I don't know. I go back and I hear. I was like, I could have done this so much better. I'm like, oh, whatever. It was fun doing it though. I gotta do another song though, somewhere down the road with my real voice. Maybe. How about that?
Not as much. What do you call? What's the word? That auto tune. You got to get rid of that auto tune.
on that E40 one I did. I don't think I did auto tune on my 49er. Mine did. I did auto tune on that one. On the one I did originally for my theme song for the channel.
We got to get John V to go on Chop though. So we're gonna have somebody go on Chop and get
John V. Yeah. He's a restaurant guy. He's a restaurant guy. He said he might watch. He said he might watch today. He's a little busy today. He said he'll
that's
jump
fine.
in the chat.
That's totally fine. Thanks for who is in here right now. I appreciate it. It's kind of we did like this is kind of a last minute thing with us, even though we talked about it yesterday. So let's go to the obvious stuff that everybody's been talking about and everybody's sick of talking about. That's the Brandon Ayuk situation. We'll talk about Trent Williams in a second, but Shar, did you think this was going to get to this point? I mean, I didn't. If you I talked to some people. I stream with Sterling Bennett. in other people last week, and a lot of them are shocked that things have gotten to the point that they've gotten to, um, considering just past contract negotiations. Although the Niners will play a they play very much hardball when it comes to contract negotiations. They asked Bosa in a press conference about that. How worried are you about Ayuk or the lack of Ayuk, or does he get traded before the season? Like, what is your mindset as a fan? How are you just over it? Are you ready for the season to start, or do you think it's vital that we have Brandon Ayuk back in the fold?
I mean, the perfect situations you bring him back. Even it means paying him a ridiculous amount of money that would possibly hinder our salary cap. But I don't know. I don't know how the 49ers would make it. I have no idea how the salary cap works. There are some people out there who can calculate certain numbers and like, okay, well, if they pay Brandon Ayuk this much, oh, it'll be perfectly fine because they could move this guy's salary and restructure that guy. I have no idea how they do that, but some way, somehow they should be able to make it happen and make it worth something and make it work, and make him happy at the same time. I'm assuming they should be able to. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, and none of us know for sure. We've heard a million rumors. None of these rumors mean anything to me now because I've seen rumors go every which direction they possibly can go, and it's just more of something like one day we'll wake up maybe 3 weeks down the road, and I wake up and I grab my phone. Oh, hey, they finally signed him. She's okay. Or hey, they trade them. Damn, they trade them. But what do we get in return? Let me see.
Right.
Oh, okay, cool. We got that player. Okay, we got this pick. All right. Okay, you know what? I can live with that.
Yeah.
That's the scary part, though. We do a trade, and it's like, oh, guess what? We got shit in return. Remember when we traded To and we got freaking Brandon Whiting, that's that scrub defensive tackle, the Eagles. He was actually pretty good on the Eagles, and he came to us. He was garbage. I actually watched him at UC Berkeley too when he played at Cal because I used to be a Cal fan. But we totally got fleeced in that To trade, and I'd hate to see that happen again. And who knows, man? Come on, Brandon, sign. Hope you're watching.
Hey, Peter Parker says, "What's up, Aaron? Good to see you in Bash Attack. Thank you
Peter
coming through,
Parker.
Peter Parker." Red Jet says, "Can we give the USA women team a big congratulations?" Yes, we can.
Oh, the women's basketball team, right?
Yeah,
Or is
they
it
win the
soccer?
gold, I would assume, right?
Is the basketball team or the soccer team? Because I think both of them won. Did they? I'll be honest, I didn't really watch. You want
I
to
haven't
clarify that in
watched
the
the
chat?
Olympics much this year.
I didn't. You know what? I was talking to Red Jet before the game. We were chatting with each other, and I was telling her, "Look, I'm sleep deprived. I'm probably gonna take a nap before the game," and I did. And she said, "Oh, I'm gonna watch the gold medal basketball game." And I was thinking, "Oh, damn, that is gonna be on," and I would like to see that, even though I watched a couple of the exhibition basketball games before the actual Olympics started. But I was curious to see the gold medal game, and I freaking fell asleep. I was asleep the whole time that game was going. And it sucks because I'm a huge Golden State Warriors / Steph Curry fan. And I heard he balled out, and I'll try to go back and watch a full highlight replay of that game. I saw some short little highlights, but I want to see like a full highlight. I heard Curry ball out in that game, and I'm a big Steph Curry fan, so definitely go back and check that out. But
So the
congrats to
women's
all the people who
basketball
won the
won by
Olympics.
1 point.
Oh, they won by 1 point. Okay, there you go. I saw
That's gotta be
in
crazy.
the exhibition the game I did watch in the exhibition when Team USA played like garbage against South Sudan, a country that's only been around for 8 years or something like that, and they literally only won by 1 point to them. So that was pretty disheartening. I was like, "What? This is a team with freaking LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, every great NBA player known to man, and here they are losing to a bunch of no names from a country that's barely existed." Well, Sudan existed for a long time, but they split up about 8 years ago. So, yeah. Oh well.
For me with the Olympics, I don't know.
I hated the opening ceremony. I'm not gonna hide that. I hated that crap.
Yeah, if everybody has freedom to do whatever they want, but if you have any type of Christian background and you watch that opening ceremony, that didn't sit too well with a lot of people.
It was uncalled for. It was really uncalled for.
But everybody has a right to, like they said, we live in a free country. America's a free country. Everybody has the right to express themselves and do what they want. And just definitely, it was like, wow, that's why. That's my question, is just why? Like, what was the whole purpose of it? But it is what it is. You can't really, it's over with. It's done. Don't watch. That's what they always say. If you don't like what you see, don't watch. If you want to protest the games, then don't watch. That's. I just am not an Olympic person. I used to watch the Winter Olympics back in the day, probably in the '90s, but since then I have lost my interest. So like getting back to the Brandon Ayuk
Really, really, really
situation.
quick. Did you catch the breakdancing competition for the Olympics?
Yes, I saw
That
that part. Whoever that was.
dude, I literally could have got out there against her. Just me and her battle, duking it out, and who's the most, person that can pretend, they can fake pretend that they're breakdancing, and who's gonna win out of me and her. I'm up for it. If you're watching, sure, make this go viral. I challenge you. We'll have a breakdance competition. There you go. I'll be in Australia. I'll fly to Australia for it.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. That was pretty bad. Breaking. I didn't know that breakdancing was in the Olympics. I was like, what is
I
this? Is this like
I forgot that it was. I totally
is this
forgot
like
that
a
it was in the
skit?
Olympics.
Is this a skit? Is this from like a Key and Peele skit? But
It
no.
looks like something from Key and Peele. It looks hilarious if you go back and watch it.
Um, as far as Brandon Ayuk situation goes, I just it's another one of those black eyes on an already kind of weird off season. Again, coming off of a Super Bowl loss. The Niners don't do contract negotiations like other teams. They lowball. They make it hard. They make the agent and the player work to get what they want. And unfortunately, with this Brandon Ayuk situation, the Niners have been pretty hard set on that $26 million number, and they haven't moved off of it. The way I look at it is this, Bashar. I don't know if you agree with me. You might not. The Niners have like however many players ahead of Ayuk as important on this team that get the ball or have a share of the ball on every play or through every game. And you can't pay everybody top dollar. And I feel like we're getting to that point because of what's going to happen next offseason with Brock Purdy, where we're going to start seeing pieces of this nucleus get chipped away. You know what I mean? That we haven't had to deal with for a long time because we've always had questions at quarterback, and we've had cheaper deals or guys that are rookies or people coming in who are not as established that don't get as much say as like a Tom Brady. And we've been able to kind of ride this wave of like having all these incredible players. This to me is kind of like the first track of change that is happening. Do you kind of get the sense that like this particular window or this particular kind of group of players or just this whole like aura of 49er football of the last 5 or 6 years is starting to change?
Yeah, I mean it's just how the NFL is. Not everybody keeps their players. Even the Chiefs have lost players. A lot of other teams have lost players too. So the Rams have lost plenty of players. I mean we're paying Deebo Samuel big time money, and people are rumoring that he may leave next year. And so I've always thought that hey, we're not going to keep both guys forever.
Right.
I at least have one of them. And then if I'm going to pick out of the two, I do think I use a more complete receiver, but someone did flash something up like, hey, Deebo Samuel's missed 3 games last year and we lost all 3 games, and he is an important part of the team too. So even though he's not your prototypical receiver, he has his flaws. So yeah, this whole salary crap just sucks. I mean, I hate it. I hate contract negotiations. I hate talking about it. I mean, I'll say this. I mean, Parag, when he stepped in, compared to what we had back in the day, it was way worse in terms of like salary cap hell and all that. We let so many players go back then, and the salary cap situations that we had with those former Niner teams were just terrible. So Parag's done a lot of great and amazing things. And another stat that somebody popped up was like people were like, oh, J.D. York is cheap. J.D. York is cheap, and somebody threw out some stat. I believe it was my homie 49ers news NFL 24/7, really good better friend of mine actually on Twitter. Shout out to him. He put out something. I wish I had it in front of me, but I'll just paraphrase what he was saying. He's like, "Oh, well, if you guys are calling J.D. York cheap, you guys are wrong because he pays out more guaranteed money to more of his players, more so than almost any other NFL owner. I think he was like second in the NFL or something like that." in terms of paying out guaranteed money. I could be wrong again. If he's in the top, he was at least in the top 5, if not number 2 overall. So at the end of the day, I mean, like we do have good guys in place that run this front office, and for the most part, we do keep the majority of our players. We don't know certain guys are going to slip through the cracks. I 100% get that. I can live with that. Can we draft properly though? We did, in terms of the most important position on the field, Brock Purdy. We did draft properly, even though we, the
even though he's the last pick in the draft. Yep.
The Trey Lance thing didn't go as planned. We all know that. We get that part. But hey, and if we do have a guy like Purdy that is the quarterback for the next 10 plus years, hey, you can afford to let certain guys walk because the most important guy on your team is a stud, and then he's going to win games for you. So that's just how it boils down to. But hey, make this Ayuk deal happen. If not, bring in, make a nice trade, and therefore we won't have to trip off of it too damn much. I don't know.
Red Jet's she's speaking this into existence. She says BA is going to get that bread. He's not going to pay them fines, and the organization knows damn well he's very needed. So I think that in the best case scenario, I think bringing back Ayuk is the best case scenario. I've seen some scenarios where like another team couldn't get involved and the Niners could bring in somebody, say like Cortland Sutton, who's kind of a nice young player, kind of like Ayuk. But if you're going to get that in return, why not just keep the guy that you already have? This Niners team in the next couple of years is going to start to have some changes happen to it. That's just the way it goes. And that's why last year's Super Bowl loss was so disheartening, is because you know it's coming, especially with the Brock Purdy contract. I had somebody ask me at work last week if I'm sold on Brock Purdy, and I looked him straight in the face and I was like, yes. They're like, really? I was like,
well, you have his jersey already. I hope you're sold on him.
It was given to me. He don't look the part. That's okay though. He plays. What sold me last year is how he played in the clutch in those 2 playoff games. It was on my feed on Twitter, so I started watching it, and I was just like, wow, like he could have folded at any point. It was good as well if Jimmy Garoppolo was in that exact same situation. We're done. We're going home. He's going to throw a pick.
Jimmy folded so many times with us. But yet there were certain segments there was a certain segment of the Niner fan base that was just like was defending they were defending living daylights out of Jimmy. It's like, okay, guys, you guys really like this guy. Go ahead.
Hey, Peter Parker says disheartening doesn't even begin to describe the loss. What the loss felt like. That was the worst loss, dude. Man.
Are we gonna have another therapy session? Is that what we're doing?
We're gonna, Peter Parker brought it up, so I'm just gonna go with it. The end of that game, when that touchdown was scored, I was so quiet. My brother's like, he tells my mom, he's like, I don't know what to say to him. I want him to, nothing I can say will make him feel better. My mom was just so. Neither of my mom or my brother said anything to me. I went in my room, clicked off the lights, shut the door. And I was just like, wow, that was stomach pain inducing. Like, I felt so, that sucked. I can't even explain it. It was just so bad. It was just so bad.
Yeah, that day, I literally, after that game, I was on the phone for about a good hour after the game, maybe an hour and a half after the game. And then after that, I just jumped in my bed and went straight to sleep. I was like, okay, I'm not watching any highlights. I was just like, whatever. I just slept off the horrible ending of that game. And
I took every 49er shirt that I had.
Actually, the offseason, mentally, I was fine. I just wasn't in Niner mode. That's all. And I had a whole bunch of other problems to deal with after that. And that's a whole nother story. But yeah, but thank God I'm doing good now. And then I'm slowly getting back into football mode. I got somebody in the chat. Go ahead.
And if it wasn't for this lady, I might have been even more depressed. But she tried her best to get me out of that headspace after that loss. Just being like, hey, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I'm just like, I know. I was so depressed after that game. It was so bad. Every single shirt that I had was put into a brown paper bag and just like thrown in the corner in the basement. I was like, I don't want to see anything 49ers for like a really long time. It's tough, man. It's the only sport I watch. And like, This is the 30-year anniversary for everybody who knows since we won our last Super Bowl. This year is year 30 because it was the 94-95 season. This is the 2024-2025 season. So this is the 30 year. So for any year we're going to do it, this is the year. That means the Cowboys are going to win it next year, if you want to believe in like things happening in pairs or whatever. But bravo. Love you too. Oh man. Jupiter says hi, Bash. But are you as surprised with Trent Williams not being signed? I think that's another one that's got everybody
it's just a domino effect. It's a domino effect. I mean, CMC got paid, Jennings got paid, and the whole Ayuk thing of when he's going to get paid or them working on new deal has been talked about from the moment the offseason started. So it was like the domino effect was like Trent Williams was like, hey, I want more guaranteed money. So I'm the best in the league in my position and blah, 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 blah. And, I got 2 more years left to play in maybe, or 3 more years left to play in. I want my money now. It's just like, okay. So I don't know. I mean, he's the guy that protects Purdy's blind slide. So it is what it is, man. It's not my money that they're playing with. It's their money. It's JD York's money. It's his parents' money. Just make the damn thing. Make these damn deals happen. Just do it. They know. Yeah, there's no way in hell I could picture them starting a season without Trent Williams.
You can't start a season without Trent Williams if you think Brock Purdy's going to make it through this year.
Yeah, the one plus though, there's one plus to this. Jalen Moore is getting a ton of reps, and other guys are getting more reps, and Jalen Moore is getting a lot of reps with the ones that he normally doesn't get. And I was reading a lot of good things about him. Unfortunately, I didn't scout him too much watching this. I barely scouted anybody watching this game. I was like a zombie watching this crappy preseason game. I really was. Hopefully I'll make up for it this next Sunday.
Peter Parker says if there's any team that can get over a Super Bowl hangover, it's this team. Fingers crossed they can get it. They got one more run in them. I mean, that's all you can really wish. I mean, we're still one of the best teams in the league. Okay, where if you want to put Kansas City number 1, go ahead. They won the Super Bowl. I have no problem with that. A lot of people have asked me before, and I don't know if you've what kind of line of thinking you have, but like, would you rather have a team that doesn't make the playoffs and the draft is your Super Bowl, or have a team that has a chance to win it every single year and just happens to peter out right at the end? Like,
I'd rather be in the mix. I'd rather be in the mix. We've had plenty of seasons where we were so irrelevant, and I hated those seasons more than any other season. So I can handle these other seasons where we're in the playoffs and we lose or whatever, partially because I witnessed Super Bowls. I was there watching these Niners Super Bowl teams, so I could say, hey, I got to live to see my team win Super Bowls. Other fans from other fan bases have not. So at the end of the day, so I can live with it. But I know we're going to get another one somewhere down the road, especially with Purdy. I just 100% see it coming. So I can't tell you what year and be exact about it, give you exact details. I'm not God. I'm not somebody who's going to give like bold predictions like that. But I just see it happening somewhere down the road.
We have Jim Everett the Great in the house, saying Rams house 1994.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. So.
I don't know when 1994 is that your birth date?
Yeah, no. I don't know what calendar. He's probably on the lunar calendar with that date or something. I don't know.
Okay. Look at who it is, the clown just. Oh, be nice, guys. He's just here to mess with us. Don't be so sensitive. Let's talk a little bit of the preseason. I gotta say, Bashar, the backup quarterback position, especially with Dobbs, I think the Niners are in a really good place if something was to happen to Purdy. I thought Dobbs looked incredible. I don't know. Did you pay attention?
I didn't think he was that good when I saw him. I don't know. It was all right.
Both of them played pretty well, considering. I mean,
I thought they were pretty similar in many ways, but Allen's not the scrambler that Dobbs is. But they both kind of made some pretty good throws. Allen surprised me. I was like, well, okay, this Allen guy looks a lot better than he did last year, in my opinion, at least in that game. But not that he set the world on fire either. But I mean, he had 2 really bad drops. those 2 catches were made, it would definitely pumped up his stats a bit. But yeah, I mean, Dobbs was nice last year in games. I was hyped up when we got Dobbs. I was like, oh, cool. This is definitely going to be a step up from the from Darnold or whatever crap we had going last year, backup quarterback. And but then again, my Dobbs expectations sank completely to the ground before the preseason started because they are crapping all over him during mini camps. They are crapping all over Dobbs in training camp, and they said his accuracy was below average, and he really sucked and he looked like crap. Maybe he was just rusty. Maybe he's only a gamer and he's just a terrible practice guy to begin with. Maybe he's just trying to get his feet wet with Shanahan's system. I don't know what his excuse was, but he looked like a decent guy. He looked like he was somewhat back to himself in this past preseason game. And again, right before him, when Allen was playing, he made some really, really nice throws down the field. So they both had really nice intermediate throws, and that's cool. Again, I don't want these guys to ever step on the field in the regular season unless we're up like 50-0. So,
right.
But at the end of the day, they weren't too bad. I still want to see Tanner Mordecai, though. I want to see what he can do.
One of the best last names in the entire world, Mordecai. That's great.
Doesn't it mean? I don't know. I thought I had like a bad meaning to it back in the day when I first heard that name. I got to research that.
There's a Bible. It's in the Bible.
Yeah.
Who Mordecai was in the Bible, but it's a biblical name. That would be an ultimate name for like a bastard son.
I thought it might have been some evil type name or something.
Yeah. Let's talk the Niners and their quest to find a backup running back who could actually hold it down. And J.P. Mason looked really good. I think he looked solid in that game. I think the 49ers in all of camp of saying he's looked pretty good in camp. So like the Elijah Mitchell journey, I think, is coming to an end. He's hurt again. What else is new? And the Niners really need to have, and they need to find themselves a running back that they can spell Christian McCaffrey with, or if Christian McCaffrey goes down, can actually do some things and keep this offense not from going into a total just chasm going backwards without Christian McCaffrey in the lineup. Thoughts on J.P. Mason?
A lot of people were really excited about J.P. Mason in his past game, but to me, it was more like I've seen him do this stuff before. I never ever thought he sucked. I never ever thought he was incapable of anything. He's looked good whenever he's toted the rock in any game I've seen him in. It's just that he hasn't had games where he had carries on top of carries on top of carries on top of carries. It's like, okay, you get a couple carries here and there, spot that. Okay, boom, you get a touchdown here, touchdown there, and then 5 games later we see you again. And then then there was the whole thing on, well, why isn't Jordan Mason ever getting on the field? He's got a fumbling problem, so therefore Shanahan wants to limit his reps because if he gets the ball more, it leaves him more likely to fumble. Another reason was he did not like Bobby Turner, or he wasn't listening to Bobby Turner. He wasn't following Bobby Turner's directions. Another reason, terrible hands, horrible hands, and he bought a jugs machine his off seasons, worked crazy on that. So, multiple factors why J.P. Mason wasn't getting on the field, despite the fact that anytime he's had the ball in his hand, he looks like he can make people miss. He looks like he can break tackles. He just looks the part when he's out there. So him being productive and him looking good in the game is not a surprise to me. It's more like, just keep, give the coaches confidence in you that you can be consistent, that you can catch passes. And he's caught like almost every ball thrown to him in camp, and you will not fumble. And that'll be good. It looks like he'll be the running back number 2. I am kind of down though, because I really, really want to see Isaac Guerrero. Not saying that I wanted him to be handed the running back number 2 spot, or I was expecting him to be the running back number 2, but we rarely ever get these height, weight, speed guys at running back, and I really, really wanted to see that guy with his crazy size and with his crazy speed.
He's a big boy and he's fast. Yeah,
I'd love to see that in our offense, despite the fact he's not the most agile guy out there. But we'll see. We'll see. But at the end of the day, I try not to play favorites. Whoever steps up, we got a lot of capable guys. They brought in Matt Breida, and when they brought up Matt Breida, I tweeted about it. I said I can. What I wanted to say is I can give a flying, what, that we brought Matt Breida. Or I pretty much tweeted that. Oh, I can care less about us signing Matt Breida. Basically, I was throwing it out there in a sarcastic kind of angry manner because I got sick of all these stupid Brandon Ayuk headlines, and I just want that shit over and done with. I can care less who we sign at this point. Just get that done with first. But Kyle Juszczyk says this is the deepest running back room he's ever seen. So it's almost like plug and play. Then whoever we got out there should be productive. There's one little funny note. I'm watching the game, and I'm watching Cody Schrader. I heard a lot of great things about this guy in his camp. I kind of set the bar low with him, though. I was like, yeah, let me see what he can do in a game. He had his good and bad moments in that game, his first preseason game. So I'm not going to stick it to him. But this is just a little off topic, and I don't want to be too controversial about this either. I'm watching the game, right? And then I'm like, okay, there's Cody Schrader. He's playing. And then they showed his profile picture on the screen, right? And I saw his face. I saw his picture. And I literally texted my friend. I'm like, dude, you won't believe this. I literally thought Cody Schrader was a black guy this entire time because that's the first time I ever saw his face. And even when I saw him on the field before that, he's got a really, really like strong tan. Like he's really he doesn't have like the typical skin tone for average black guy. Average white guy. He's got a very, very strong tan going too. So I just thought, and keep in mind, I didn't watch much film of him after we signed him. I was just hearing about him. And it was more or less of what I was reading about him. I never looked his picture up. I never really looked up his videos. So I just kept thinking in my head that, Cody Schrader is this black dude. So I was just laughing when I was watching the game. I was like, man, I was way off on that one. But hey, that's neither here nor there.
I just think it's funny that they keep finding these undrafted guys every single year. Like I don't even worry. I would assume that Bobby Turner might have been the one that found him because Bobby Turner seems to turn over stones and find running backs, working at a Walmart or something. Like he's just that good when it comes to the running back position. I'm not really sold on the running back room yet until we get to the regular season and I get to see the depth chart and get to see who's really playing. Like you said, Isaac Guerrero, I would love to have seen him be in the mix. A big bruising type of running back, but he's injured. And then, CMC's hurt. He said if the regular season started, he'd be playing, but it's just like, geez, he's got a calf strain. Again, like I'm not too worried about it. McNiner asked if we talked about the injuries earlier. We have. Bashar is really adjusted the mindset of like, hey, let the preseason take care of itself. Not really worried about him right now, at least. I'm a little worried just because we're not even through the preseason yet. Like we just started the preseason and we have 23 guys missing practice last Thursday before this Saturday's game. So it is worrisome to me. It just gives you that like 2020 vibe all over again of like a season that just wasn't meant to be. It was like that Super Bowl hangover. I don't know. Have as anybody in the comments or any in Bashar, have you picked up on the difference in demeanor and say like Fred Warner or Christian McCaffrey from last year or even Bosa, almost like they're still kind of feeling that loss? Because when I watch press conferences, people aren't the same. Like I'm seeing like I don't know, it's hard to explain. I can't put my finger on it. Maybe it's my own brain making things up, but there's just like this, like somebody who had their dog ran over and then had to go to work and get on a microphone and talk.
Yeah, I haven't been watching the pressers. I'll be honest. So I told you I'm not like 100% fully locked in my 49er football mode. I know I should be, but once I do get locked in, like the regular season, I definitely pay a lot more attention to pressers, much more so than the regular season. Much more so than the preseason. But the main thing I noticed was Nick Bosa's mustache in his pressers. But
I told looking really weird right now.
I told you I didn't even watch like the after the game, post game stuff with like pressers for this past preseason game because I just went to sleep super early and I was just bored of the game. But eventually, I just think the every season's a grind, and I don't know how pissed they are, or hey, but at the end of the day, they got to use if they are let down about what happened in the Super Bowl, and at the end of the day, they just got to use it as more fuel for the fire. That's all they can do. You can't really look back. You got to just keep going forward.
Yep. Couple standouts in yesterday's game that were actually positive was that Robert Pooney and Jarrett Kingston both had clean pass protection sheets as far as like pass protection in the game, not allowing anything as far as pressures. Pooney, a lot of people are saying, he got a really weird PFF grade, like because of his run blocking a little bit. But as far as his pass sets, they said he's there's not even a question that he's probably going to be the right guard come week 1. And then Jared Kingston, I don't know too much about him. I don't know if he's a guard as well, but that's awesome to see that they Dominic Pooney. Thank you, Bashar. What did you think? What did you think? It's nice. I mean, we've missed on some offensive linemen in the draft, man, but Pooney looks like the real deal.
Yeah, I just wish he was a tackle, but if you put a much better guard next to McKivitz, if you put a much better guard next to McKivitz, it could help, shore up the load. So at the end of the day, it should be a plus regardless. And again, I didn't get to sit there and analyze offensive linemen like I normally do. But I did see Pooney make some good blocks when it counted. He's the guy who was pushing people in when Mason did get the touchdown, so that was cool. And he just looks the part when he's out there. I've read a lot of really, really good things about Pooney during camp. So,
me too.
And I was worried, like I was saying, that our favorite player Spencer Burford broke his hand, and he they said that he may have to have surgery, and then they said he's not going to have surgery, but he's going to be gone 3 weeks. But I was like, okay, I did want to see him compete against some Dominic Pooney, and I didn't want Pooney to get handed anything on a silver platter either. But I heard this whole time that he stepped in Burford's absence, that he's totally looked the part, and they're really, really pleased with him. Like, okay, well, hey, maybe he'll just be the starter anyways, and because he deserves it without actually having to battle Burford anyways. So maybe he's just the better player of the two, regardless.
Right.
So that's the case. That's cool. And we hit on a good draft pick, and there you go. I just wish we would have had more picks and gotten off a damn offensive tackle. But yeah, good for him. I just wish I paid a bit more attention to Kingston. I didn't. I saw him out there, but I didn't really focus on him too hard.
Yeah, I only paid attention to the grade that they gave him, but as far as Pooney, I was definitely impressed. Definitely doesn't look overmatched. To me, if I was the 49ers, I'd figure out a way to get Feliciano in at center and have Pooney at right guard and, Banks at left guard and the tackle Trent Williams and, whatever. But you got to get your best 5 offensive linemen out there. I don't know where Kingston sits in that place right now. I mean, he had a good clean game, but Pooney's pretty much, from what all the reports are, and even guys like Raj say, he's not perfect. He's played well. Nobody's perfect, but he definitely looks like the game isn't too big for him, especially in the NFL with, the Chris Jones of the world. Maybe we have found a guy that can actually, for the first time in the life of this franchise since Chris Jones was drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs, someone that could actually block him in a Super Bowl, so we can actually.
They literally could have put me out there and attempted to block Chris Jones and just stopped him for a split second. That would have been more than enough for what we needed to do, But I mean, Burford's like, oh, just go ahead, come right on in. I'll double team this guy. That doesn't matter. I know you're the best defensive tackle in the NFL, but I'm going to go try to block this guy instead. Okay, that's pretty much what Burford did, and I want to beat him up for it.
Feliciano is the new Brunskill. I don't know, man. I think Feliciano's actually a pretty good offensive lineman.
He's not bad.
I take umbrage with that.
So that's what this is. Okay, we have Trent Williams. He's a total bruiser, badass, arguably best tackle in the NFL. And then Banks is pretty damn good. And then the rest of our guys is just these questionable
center,
guys.
Right guard and tackle it's
like these questionable guys. But then, like you mentioned, Feliciano, for some way or another, with our offensive line, you may think our offensive line sucks in certain ways, but then every now and then we'll pick up these obscure guys like Feliciano, or we had well, people used to say I looked like that guy. Daniel Brunskill, like these obscure kind of guys, but when you throw them in there, they're productive.
You do look like Daniel Brunskill.
they're productive. And people say he used to look like Tony Soprano, Daniel Brunskill. I don't know. So I forgot who else. But these guys who are not studs or not superstars, but they're utility guys, and you can almost plug and play them and throw them in, and your offense does not skip a beat. And if you're putting up points, hey, sure, these guys aren't dominant maulers, and they're not, tossing their guys 20 yards down the field, but they're getting the job done. So Feliciano's one of those guys, and we find a way to pick up those type of guys. So hopefully we are more aggressive in drafting and signing offensive line this upcoming offseason, because I want to protect the living daylights out of Purdy. I really do. I love Purdy.
Yeah. What did you think of the 49ers signing Robbie Chosen? Are you excited?
Dude, you know what? The non-Niner fans liked him back in the day, back when he was on the Jets, and they're like, "Oh man, Robbie Anderson's so cool. He'd be so much better on the Niners on a good team with a good quarterback and blah 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 blah." And then like Robbie Anderson just fell off a bit, and he actually had production on for 1 year he had 1,000 yards on the Carolina Panthers 1 year. I don't know. It's just I can't get over his haircut. He looks like that. He's got his hair going this way and that way, and it look like a damn court jester. Looks hilarious. I posted
he has the sideshow Bob hair going.
Yeah, his 100%. Hair is like I posted this GIF on Twitter, and it had that guy from Don't Drink Your Juice in South Central. Sorry, Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. He's like, "Do we have a problem?" He's got that remote and the missile in the background, and then like his hair is going every which way direction, and it reminded me so much of the Robbie Chosen. I don't know where this Chosen name came from. I guess he legally changed his name to Chosen or some crap.
Like Prince?
I don't know. It should help.
Artist
it should help.
Formerly known as.
Yeah, I mean, it should help in the mix of. I thought we were trying to develop Cowing. Thought we were trying to develop Pearsall. We already got Danny Gray in the mix. Are we ever going to actually develop this guy? And we had Darby out there looking pretty good. I didn't even know we had Darby on the roster. I didn't even know who he was, and he looked pretty good. Hurt. We still had. I was surprised to see Tay Martin out there. I remember Tay Martin used to be a damn string bean when we first brought him in, but he's actually looks like he worked out in the weight room a bit. He looks more like an NFL receiver now. He didn't look too bad either. But Chris Conley's not.
Chris Conley,
as old as he is.
Guy that he's going to make the. I think Chris Conley's going to make the roster.
He's that veteran that does not seem to go away, but in a good way. Like you think like, oh, he's washed up. We could do better. But he's like, hey, look, I might be one of the older guys here, but hey, I'm still fast. I can still produce, and hey, I can still catch the ball. So, at the end of the day, I just, I definitely want to see Cowing and Pearsall and Cowing develop. But as far as all the other guys, like whoever, let the best man win. I just want to have the best receiving core out there and our best guys on the field. I don't have any favorites. If it's Robbie Anderson, so be it.
Yeah, to me, it's a nice signing. It'd be a cool depth piece to have. But at the end of the day, we want Brandon Ayuk out there. He's the best option. He's the best fit. He knows this team. They know him. Everything, all these trades, all this mumbo jumbo about we could bring in this guy and we can get this draft pick. The best course of action is to sign the guy that we drafted, and that's Brandon Ayuk. Is he a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL as far as, if you're grading him against, say, like Justin Jefferson or Devontae Adams? Probably not. I'd say maybe he's a top 7 wide receiver, maybe top 10. But he's still one of the best.
7. Yeah.
He's just one of the better receivers in the National Football League. But like I said, we don't use him like that. But to say that we'd be better off if we brought some other guy in here and, he'll know his place and he'll play for less, like that's all what do you call pie in the sky. We're living in a make-believe world if we think that's the case. Special teams looked really, really, really bad on Saturday. Talk about being in mid-season form.
Dude, I'm never going to get used to this new kickoff bullshit. I'm not. I hate the way it looks.
It looks stupid.
It looks fucking retarded. I know injuries. I know injuries happen on kickoffs. I get it. But it never got to the point where I'm watching an NFL game and be like, oh, I don't want them to do the kickoff right now because I'm scared that guys are going to get hurt. I never had that feeling. I played on kickoff teams when I played high school football. I never once thought like, oh, wow, this is the most dangerous part of the game. All the injuries happen here. Those thoughts never ran through my mind. But they're making such a big deal about it. Like, oh, wow, we got to protect the players. I get it. I do understand it's very important to protect players. But the kickoff thing never registered to me as a dangerous play. But now It looks ridiculous where so many returns for touchdowns are going to happen, in my opinion. And it's going to look so dumb because you just had that one wall. The moment you break that one wall, the guy's gone, dude.
Doesn't look like they practice it enough, but if you listen to the commentator in that game, he's saying that's exactly what the NFL wants. What you saw, what the Niners struggled with, and they weren't able to stop it on kick or punt returns, it's exactly what the NFL wants. They want more scoring. They like scoring. They don't like defense. We're living in the age of teams scoring 45 points a game, like
fantasy football and all that other crap and What's
If
that?
you don't think the league is influenced by Vegas, you're
DraftKings and all that crap.
yeah, they are. They're definitely I mean, yeah. So yeah, a lot of missed tackles yesterday. There was 13 missed tackles on defense. D Winters had an up and down game. One player who looked really good yesterday was Malik Mustafa. He could be a future star on this team. Wow. That tackle on fourth down was whoo. That was like a Ronnie Lott hit. He didn't go. That guy went like it was like a brick wall. He hit it and he went. That was it. It was over.
Malik Mustafa, man, that was the play of the game. That was the play of the game. And I could care less if we lost the game on both sides of the ball, on both teams. Both sides of the ball, that was the fucking play of the game. Yeah. He just went boom. I was like, oh, yes, there you go. Cool. I've been hearing about you. I've been hearing that you've been badass in camp and all this other stuff and whatever. And Grant Cohen made a comment. He's like, oh, well, Brad, he says Mustafa, I don't. But anyways, he's like, oh, yeah, well, he's been good in camp the whole time in camp until they put the pads on. Once they put the pads on, he hasn't really been doing much. And then he woke up in that game and he's like, look, I'm making this hit. You guys are going to know who I am. You guys are going to watch out for me during this regular season. That's with or without Hufanga in the mix. I love Hufanga. I want him to be back to his normal form and come back as well. But yeah. Somebody posted something about Hufanga today and I missed the headline. I don't know if anybody knows what it was.
So he's going to see doctors this week.
Mm-hmm.
And if it goes well, he could start being worked back into practice is pretty much what they're saying.
Oh, okay.
We're getting worked in on becoming, getting back to practicing, ramping him up, so to speak. He says he wants to be there for the beginning of the regular season. Listen, the Niners, even you can count Odom as one of them, Tyler Hawkins. Niners, as far as safeties go, pretty good group. Pretty good group, I must say.
Just imagine if we have three like badass safeties, Jair Brown.
Right. That means Hufanga might not be resigned, and we'd have, it's a good problem to have, Bash. You could have none. Yeah. People say if you have one a quarterback, if you have three, you have none, whatever. But when it comes to safety and the way that the Niners play defense, kind of a smash mouth style, you got three guys, maybe four. If you count Odom, he's more of a special teams guy. It's a good problem to have.
Odom's been having a really good camp, by the way.
Odom's been having a great camp.
I always thought of him as a special teams guy, but almost every other day I'd read something about Odom doing good. I was like, this guy's telling everybody that, hey, I'm an actual real safety. I'm not just some special teamer. He probably learned well from Tyshawn Gibson, who I love and who I thought was awesome, but he went off to some other teams. So,
what do you think about Ambry Thomas? You think you've seen the last of him? Bro, he got hurt. He
broke his forearm, right?
Broke his forearm. He did not look good yesterday.
I felt bad during the game. All these people were crapping on him, and I was like, it doesn't look like he's ever going to be back to what he was his rookie year. And
right.
And at the end of the day, we just got so much deeper at cornerback. I mean, was he really going to make the team anyways? But despite his injury, a lot of guys were assuming. A lot of people who attended camp, all the beat writers who attended camp, were pretty much saying that. Don't expect him to make this team anyways. So
right, Yadam is on his way back from injury.
Yeah, Yadam I heard is having a pretty damn good camp himself, and I haven't really seen him yet. But.
Yeah, Renardo Green hasn't looked too bad.
Yeah, Green, I've been hearing some great things about him, man. So yeah, it's just Ambry Thomas could probably find work somewhere else, and he's not going to be making this team. Yeah, it doesn't look like it.
And that's okay because he's not really that good. So
yeah, I mean, him and Diamador Lenore drafted in the same year, and Diamador Lenore's taking things to the next level. We got Charvarius Ward, and just Ambry Thomas. I don't know. Try to make.
I feel like this secondary, when healthy, if you lock in certain guys at positions, pretty damn good secondary. And
it should be the deepest one we've had in years. Actually.
Right. My worry right now is a defensive line. A lot of people are saying that Robert Beal had a bad game. And then the Drake Jackson injury, like we are really thin at defensive line, and now losing Kalia Davis. Could you see a move? You think the Niners make a move?
You know what? Who was they? You know what? He actually had a decent game. Who's that new guy that we picked up? That's a former Packer, the defensive end.
I forget. I know exactly.
I forgot his name, but he was actually pretty damn good for somebody that we just picked up 3 days prior or something like that, or maybe it was 2 days prior. But yeah, Drake Jackson out for the season, of course. Wasn't really expecting much from him, anyways. Robert Beal Jr., the guy ran a really, really fast 40, but I haven't seen him do much on the field. I just haven't. And he actually put on a lot of weight and quality weight. I think he put on about 25 pounds of really good, solid weight. And I don't know how much speed he actually sacrificed. But like you said, I saw him getting blocked, and I don't know, he's got a lot to learn, I guess, in terms of technique. And I want him to step up and rise to the occasion and be the guy in terms of spelling Bosa and Leonard Floyd. But yeah, it just hasn't necessarily happened just yet. But at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, maybe I don't know who we could get to fill in for these DN positions. And I think even with Kalia Davis getting hurt, I think we still got some decent options at D tackle, because that Evan Anderson guy, I think he might step up and be pretty good. Just kept hearing a lot of good stuff about him in camp, and good thing that we made those moves for Malik Collins and Jordan Elliott, because I heard Jordan Elliott's almost like a new DJ Jones for our offense. That's who Kocurek was comparing him to. So
yeah, if Chris Kocurek can get his hands on you and you have any type of ability, he's the one guy that can get ability out of it. To me, it just really comes down to depth. The Niners can't afford a lot of injuries on the defensive line. This team can't really afford a lot of injuries to begin with, just because, we want to make another run at it. We got to be healthy,
yeah.
but it was like I said, I watched the game a little bit here, a little bit there. I took from it what I took from it, but it's hard to get back into it when it's the preseason. I don't like starters playing at all in the preseason. I don't know about you, but I can live without it. But we have, what is it? The 12th. We have about a good month before the season starts. So hopefully Ayuk gets back in the building soon. Trent Williams back in the building and get some practices under their belt. Fans, you can say whatever you want, but Brandon Ayuk is the best option. He's the best option out there. You can put together a trade package in fantasy land and try to figure out how to get a guy like Cortland Sutton here, or
Amari Cooper's not bad.
Amari Cooper.
I know that's the thing. Ayuk doesn't want to go to the Browns, though. He's just like he's being beggars can't be choosers. So that's right. What makes me think that trade won't even happen.
Yeah, and Amari Cooper was like pretty much responding in his.
Yeah, I'll go there.
That wouldn't be half bad if he got traded to the 49ers. So, like I said, I'm not gonna lose too much sleep right now. Hopefully, everybody can get healthy before the season begins in September. I got a lot of other things, as they would say, a lot of other pots on the boil right now in my normal life to keep me preoccupied till September. So, but me and Bash will be back hopefully next week. But we will have this thing on Mondays, hopefully during the season. Me and Bash will be on 49er First Takes, talking pretty much like a review of the Sunday games. Unless there's a Monday night game, we might, turn things around, maybe be on the day before or the day after or whatever. But everybody who was on, thanks for coming through. We appreciate it very much. I know it wasn't the most engaged stream because it's the preseason, but at least we have some 49er football we can talk about. We will see you guys hopefully next week. Everybody take care. Go Niners. And we'll talk to you later.
Ayuk, sign.